Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What if the most difficult decision facing Toronto's front office isn't about who to sign, but who to let go? What if sustainable championship construction requires making choices that hurt in the short term, but position you for long-term dominance? The Blue Jays are facing a crossroads that will define this organization's trajectory for the next decade, and the decision they're wrestling with involves one of the most beloved players in franchise history. This isn't about giving up. This is about strategic evolution at the highest level. Bo Bichette represents more than just a player on the roster. He's become an institution at Rogers Center. We're talking about a two-time All-Star who led the American League in hits twice, establishing himself as one of the most prolific contact hitters in baseball. His offensive production has been consistently elite when healthy, providing the kind of batting average and run production that anchors championship lineups. But the 2025 season revealed a harsh reality that Toronto's front office can no longer ignore, and it has nothing to do with his bat. Bichette finished last season with -3 outs above average defensively at shortstop. That metric isn't just a minor concern, it places him tied for the absolute worst among all shortstops in Major League Baseball. For an organization committed to building a complete championship roster, this defensive decline represents a fundamental problem that affects every aspect of how the team constructs its defense. Advanced metrics show that his range has diminished, his first step quickness has slowed, and his throwing accuracy has become inconsistent. These aren't fixable problems through coaching adjustments or mechanical tweaks. These are indicators of a player who may no longer be suited for baseball's most demanding defensive position. The recent development that Bichette is willing to move to second base changes his market dynamics entirely. He already made that positional shift during the World Series, demonstrating he can handle the adjustment when necessary. But this flexibility, combined with his salary demands approaching $200 million, creates a strategic dilemma for Ross Atkins and the front office. Do you commit that level of resources to a player who now requires positional accommodation to hide defensive deficiencies? Or do you redirect those resources toward players who provide elite defense at premium positions while still contributing offensively? The roster hierarchy is being completely redesigned with championship sustainability as the primary objective. Toronto's aggressive pursuit of Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman signals a philosophical shift toward prioritizing two-way players who excel both offensively and defensively. The financial mathematics are straightforward but painful. If Toronto successfully signs Tucker to a contract exceeding $350 million, the payroll flexibility required to maintain roster depth becomes severely constrained. Every dollar committed to one player is a dollar unavailable for addressing other needs, which makes efficiency and value optimization absolutely critical. The front office's strategic mapping reveals a clear preference for investing in elite defenders who also provide offensive production rather than keeping a shortstop who needs positional changes to mask defensive limitations. This isn't about replacing one player with another. It's about seeking the optimal balance between devastating offensive output and defensive reliability that prevents games from being lost through avoidable errors. Championship teams cannot afford to give away outs defensively, especially at premium positions up the middle where range and reliability matter most. Looking at potential destinations for Bichette, the Los Angeles Dodgers present a logical fit that follows the established pattern of big market teams acquiring star talent. Analyst projections suggest the Dodgers could offer approximately 4 years with an extremely high average annual value and strategic opt-out clauses built into the structure. This represents what financial strategists call asymmetric risk. For the Dodgers, it's an opportunity to fill a critical gap at second base with one of the generation's best pure hitters. For Bichette, it's a chance to bet on himself performing in a massive market, rebuilding his defensive reputation at a less demanding position, and potentially testing free agency again within 2 or 3 years with even stronger leverage. This scenario follows the blueprint of elite organizations that don't hesitate to pay premium prices for immediate talent acquisition. The Dodgers have consistently demonstrated willingness to absorb large contracts when they identify players who address specific roster needs. Bichette at second base in Los Angeles, protected by elite defenders around him and playing in a less scrutinized defensive role, could absolutely thrive both offensively and defensively. That presents the nightmare scenario for Toronto, where they watch a former fan favorite flourish elsewhere, while whoever they acquired to replace him struggles to match that production. The counter-argument that this strategy could fail spectacularly deserves honest examination. The genuine risk is letting go of a generational talent who at 27 years old may not have reached his physical peak or complete technical maturity. Imagine the organizational nightmare if Bichette adapts quickly to second base, eliminates the defensive hesitations that plagued him at shortstop, and becomes an all-star caliber two-way player for a division rival. Meanwhile, if the expensive additions like Tucker or Bregman struggle to adapt to the pressure of replacing such a beloved local player, the front office faces unbearable scrutiny. If Bichette flourishes defensively at second base, once freed from the range requirements of shortstop, Toronto will have handed an elite offensive engine to a direct competitor. The pressure on Ross Atkins becomes immense, and history's judgment will be merciless if the hole left by Bichette isn't filled with immediately superior production. This represents the high-stakes gamble inherent in any major roster reconstruction. You're betting that your evaluation is correct, that the players you acquire will outperform the players you let go, and that defensive metrics accurately predict future performance better than traditional offensive statistics. The financial flexibility argument carries significant weight in this analysis. By not committing $200 million to Bichette, Toronto preserves resources to pursue multiple impact players rather than concentrating value in one person. That flexibility allows them to address bullpen needs, rotation depth, bench versatility, and unexpected injury replacements that inevitably arise during a long season. Championship roster construction isn't about assembling the most talented starting nine. It's about building a complete 26-man roster with depth at every position. The defensive metrics driving this decision reflect modern baseball's analytical evolution. Organizations now understand that preventing runs through elite defense provides value equal to creating runs through offensive production. A shortstop who gives away 3 outs above average costs his team multiple wins over a full season through balls not fielded, throws not made accurately, and double plays not turned. Those lost wins matter enormously in playoff races where division championships and wildcard positioning often come down to 1 or 2 games. Toronto's front office operates under the principle that elite organizations aren't afraid to make unpopular decisions when technical efficiency demands it. Trading away or letting a beloved player leave in free agency generates immediate fan backlash and media criticism. But if that decision creates space to acquire players whose combined production exceeds what was lost, the long-term results vindicate the short-term pain. The question becomes whether management has the courage to execute their vision despite knowing they'll face intense scrutiny if results don't immediately materialize. The comparison between Bichette's defensive metrics and potential replacements reveals why Toronto might prefer redirecting resources. Alex Bregman posted positive defensive metrics at third base throughout his career, including a Gold Glove season. Kyle Tucker provides elite defense in the outfield with plus range and a strong arm. Both players would upgrade Toronto's overall defensive profile while maintaining offensive production comparable to or exceeding what Bichette provides. If you can get similar offensive output plus superior defense while maintaining financial flexibility, the strategic logic becomes compelling even if emotionally difficult. The timeline pressure adds urgency to this decision. Major free agents typically make decisions shortly after Christmas as the new year approaches and spring training looms. Toronto cannot wait indefinitely hoping Bichette accepts a below-market deal or that Tucker and Bregman remain available without other teams swooping in. Front offices must make decisions with incomplete information, accepting the risk that comes with committing hundreds of millions of dollars based on projections rather than certainties. Here's the fundamental tension driving this entire situation. Toronto wants to win championships now while maintaining sustainable competitiveness for years to come. That dual objective requires balancing immediate roster needs with long-term financial flexibility. Bichette represents the past and present of this franchise, a homegrown star who developed through the system and became a fan favorite. But championship organizations must look forward rather than backward, making personnel decisions based on future projections rather than past accomplishments or emotional attachments. The ultimate question facing Toronto's front office is whether they have the conviction to execute a strategy they believe maximizes championship probability, despite knowing it will generate immediate criticism. Letting Bo Bichette leave would hurt emotionally for fans who've watched him develop into an all-star. But if that decision creates the financial and roster space to acquire players who collectively make Toronto better both offensively and defensively, organizational leadership must prioritize winning over popularity. The next few weeks will reveal whether Toronto's front office possesses the courage to make the difficult choice their analytics suggest is correct, even knowing they'll face intense scrutiny if the gamble doesn't immediately pay off.